What up, what up, what up? You like that shit?
Somebody's teams must have won this weekend.
Yeah, but we'll get to that later. Let's talk about the NCAA football shit that's going on.
Your team's even won an NCAA too, so.
I know. I was excited as shit, man. I hope you guys like the fucking dick that's right by my mouth because I had to go to this mic because I can't believe how many people complained about the sound. After George, I told them the sound is fucked up, but they were still like, you know what? Let's just fucking just piss in Kevin's ear about this shit. So you know what?
Trust me, it was a piss and moan party this week on YouTube. You guys suck. Somebody even took us the time to write us a personal message and let us know how bad we suck, but didn't provide any evidence. Just said you suck, which are always my favorite ones. Like, why did you bother to waste the time telling me I suck if you're not going to tell me why you suck?
You know, I don't know if you people out there, if you're new to our show, because we've been doing this shit for like 6 or 7 years. We already know we suck. Okay, we don't really need you guys to. I mean, if you want to tell us the shit, then feel free to. But we already know we suck. So moving on to that, let's talk about a team in college football that does not suck, and that would be the Tide, because those motherfuckers are rolling like shit.
Yeah, and it gets even easier because they play at home next week versus Georgia State.
Yeah, so they're going to
I said Georgia State. The spread in that's going to be, what, 50?
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what Vegas says. But you know what's funny? It might not be that crazy, man, because like we talked about last week, Saban does not run the score up crazy compared to some of these other coaches. He's like, okay.
No, because he gets his kids out because he knows he's going to need them down the road. But that doesn't mean his third stringers would be started. I mean, the guys he's recruiting right now in high school would start at Georgia State right now.
Oh, yeah, without a fucking doubt, man. I mean, he's, you know, Bama just looks fucking
And they pitched a shutout. They didn't even give up any points last week, did they?
No, it was 25-0.
Yeah, and Ole Miss was supposed to present a threat.
I was one of the people that said that. I was like, you know what? I think this could be, a squirrely game for Alabama, but, it wasn't even close to that. Same thing with Oregon. Oregon just rolled over Cal 55-16. And Clemson, same thing for them. Against a ACC opponent in Wake Forest, they just crushed those Bamas 56-7. And then it got kind of interesting as you're moving through the top 25. And that's because Wisconsin came to Ohio State, and they gave them a little bit of a battle. Obviously, I mean, it's, and we said that.
At kickoff?
Oh, yeah, that shit was nasty. Hello?
Yeah, that kid Braxton Miller's got a cannon. I hope sometime between now and the NFL draft, he learns how to take a little bit of steam off those things, because that man throws laser beams.
He throws those balls so fucking hard. I'm like, you got to take some shit off of those fuckers, because you're going to take somebody's fucking hand off, because that's just like a 38.
Yeah, dude, but I mean, very effective. They gave up. I mean, I can't believe Wisconsin gave up that garbage touchdown going into the half, but
right.
It looks like Ohio State's obviously the team to beat out of the Big Ten, but it's going to be interesting. Maybe we'll have a logjam and the possibility of 4 unbeaten teams.
I mean, it could be, man. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, they don't really. It doesn't seem like there's anybody that can test Ohio State. Possibly Northwestern. I mean, and then the Pac-10.
And that's funny because next week Ohio State travels to Northwestern, so that's number 4 versus number 16.
To me, that's the game. I think if they can get through that game, I think they can run the table. I really do.
Smooth sailing from there.
Huh?
A little bit of smooth sailing from there.
Pretty smooth sailing, shorty. Like the America's Cup, the Mugs came back and took that shit. But that's another story.
Oh, Jesus.
Stanford 55-17 over Washington State. Stanford actually is 5th in the country, ranked 5th in the country. They're looking pretty good. They're kind of one of these teams that a lot of people are not talking about. But since new dude took over as the coach after Harbaugh jetted for the NFL, he looks good, man.
Well, Stanford plays at home next week, and they have to host Washington, where if anyone's paid any attention to Washington, they've been the doormat. But I'm pretty sure Washington's undefeated now, and they're ranked 15th in the country, and they're going to be coming to Stanford. So Stanford better be ready to play.
Yeah, Stanford better be ready to play. In the SEC, the big game, obviously, this week, unfortunately for George, was LSU versus Georgia. And
that shit was terrible.
I am going to be the first one to say I got to take my foot out of my mouth, because I thought for sure LSU would. I thought Georgia was a little overrated. And I made a major mistake in that, because Georgia definitely played some ball, and LSU looked great too, but Georgia just looked a little bit better at home. And it's hard to go into Georgia and beat them. But one team that had done it in the past was LSU. And I just figured that Les Miles would have those boys ready to go in there and kick some ass, but it did not exactly turn out that way. It was a good game all the way through, though.
Don't worry, because LSU has to play Mississippi State, and then they have to play at Florida. So it's not. I mean, they get a couple. Yeah, okay, come on, man.
It's
Georgia plays at Tennessee. I don't.
You know,
the SEC schedule is just nuts for some of these schools. To me, it's just like, who made this?
Yeah, especially when you're sitting on LSU's side of the conference. I mean, I just think it's a little bit tougher over there. I tell you who's happy about that is Clemson, because obviously Clemson gave Georgia a loss at the beginning of the season, and now Georgia seems like they're just getting it done, which is making Clemson look that much better.
Right. And like you said, Clemson's sitting pretty at 3, and they play at Syracuse. So this is going to be Syracuse's welcome to the ACC game.
Exactly.
They're going to put it on that ass.
Now,
Syracuse is going to get housed.
Oh, yeah, they're going to get fucking just destroyed. Another big team in the ACC, Florida State. They had their fucking worries at first at Boston College, because they were in Boston, and fucking Boston was up, 17-3 on these bitches?
Yeah, and then Florida State decided, okay, it's time to play. And that freshman quarterback they got is nasty.
Yeah, they put on the afterburners after like the first quarter, and then they quickly changed that around. Ended up getting out of there with a 48-34 win. Texas.
So
A&M,
Kevin, on October 6th at noon, where are you going to be, buddy?
Oh, you mean October 5th at noon?
Yeah, October 5th, my bad.
October 5th at noon, I will probably be in downtown Bethesda getting my drink on, shorty, because I don't go out to watch college football for fear that I might get in a drunken stupor. But you know what? I will have to do it this weekend, because I'm excited to see, and to me, you know, Maryland broke. We're talking about the Maryland Terrapins go to Florida State to go take on the Seminoles. They're in the top 25 now in the AP poll. In the ESPN Power Rankings, they're ranked 23rd, but they didn't break the top 25 in the other polls. But I still think, even being a Terrapin fan, that they gotta go there and prove that they can beat the fucking, you know, the top tier teams in the ACC. This is a perfect time to prove it. You gotta go into Florida State and beat them. If they can go into Florida State after fucking shutting out WVU, then I think most of the country would be convinced that Maryland is probably a top 15 team. You know?
Yeah, this will catapult them, I would say, almost into the top 10. If you go at Florida State and you beat them.
And you're 5-0 and you shut out WVU, most people, and Maryland has beat everybody pretty handily. Actually, their biggest test to this point was UConn, and UConn's coach just got fired. So,
right, well, they haven't won a game all season.
They haven't won a game all season. Now, Texas A&M, I wanted to talk about your boy Johnny Manziel, because I know he's your favorite person in the whole fucking wide world, George. They're getting it done. They beat Arkansas in Arkansas. Manziel obviously had another good game. He's a fucking highlight reel. What do you think? Do you think he can win the Heisman again this year?
Well, with the way these commentators talk about him, they say he's the most electrifying, entertaining player to ever play college football.
I don't know.
Or at least they say he's the most electrifying, entertaining football player this year. And I guess that's what the Heisman is now. It's who puts on the best show, because I always thought it was college's MVP.
Yeah, I've looked at it like that too. Like, who does?
And one of the comments that was made earlier this season is, I won't vote for AJ McCarron because he has too much talent around him.
You know what, George?
That's fucked up and not fair. And like, if I'm telling you right now, if I was on the Heisman committee, voting committee, and one of the voters it's Robert Smith, the guy who used to play running back for the Vikings and I think went to Ohio State, sat there and said that. He said, I will not vote for AJ McCarron because he has too much talent, but I would vote for Teddy Bridgewater. And I don't know, but Teddy Bridgewater is putting up video game numbers against Sisters of the Poor, Desperate and Departed, and every other rotten college in the universe. And he said he'll vote for him because of the stats he's putting up, but AJ McCarron won't because he's got better talent. But AJ McCarron plays against better talent week in and week out. I would take his vote away. I'm like, I can't believe he said that shit out loud.
You know what's fucked up? I agree with him, man. I look at fucking what Bama has around, and it just reminds me of so many of those motherfuckers from USC that fucking won the Heisman. And then they got to the pros and they stunk shit. And you and I always talked about it, people like Lionheart and fuck all these guys that, you know, Sanchez, that were studs at USC, and you were like, you had the best fucking line in the fucking Pac-10. Alabama has, obviously Alabama doesn't have the line that they had last year, but it's just so, you have every fucking top recruit pretty much in the country wanting to go to Bama because they're on a run right now. And you look at them, and you have to obviously ask yourself, do you think McCarron is going to come into the pros and make that much of an impact?
No, but when's the last time an Alabama player did?
Yeah, and I think another player you got to say was this. People would go crazy about Tim Tebow, you know, and people forgot all the fucking talent that Tim Tebow had around him in Florida when fucking Urban Meyer was there. They were fucking loaded with talent, and everybody's like, Tim Tebow is the second coming of Jesus. He's fucking great. He's awesome. He's going to get the Heisman, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? we saw how much of that was everything that he had around him. You know,
but with that said, I don't think you and I, if we were honored with being ever down the road, maybe when we're 1,000 years old, somebody caring about our opinion on the Heisman, that we'd announce it to the world who we would or wouldn't vote for and make it. I mean, I don't see how you can get away with that.
No, you're right.
I don't see how you can say that shit out loud. You might be thinking it, but it's one of those things that just should never come out of your mouth.
No, you know what? You're fucking absolutely right about that. That was just stupid. I mean, you don't go out there and you don't put your shit on full blast and tell everybody.
And to me, it's not fair to. I mean, yes, I understand why somebody wouldn't vote for him, but I don't think if it's stats driven, and that's my problem with that award. We never know what that award is truly for. Is it the most valuable player on his team?
Right.
Is it the guy who's had the best career? Because sometimes you'll have a senior in there against a senior against a sophomore, and you're talking about what the senior's done his whole career, but then you're talking about what the sophomore did for one season. So is it a season award? Is it a career award? Like, they need to make that award more clear-cut as to what they're looking for. And then my thing is, if A.J. McCarron puts up crazy stats and then goes undefeated in the SEC, I don't see how you can't give it to someone doing that. I'm just saying down the road. It's a fucked up award. That means nothing.
It is, to me, I always look at subtract the player from his team. Where does his team stand? That's how I've looked at it. Like, if you take...
Do me a favor. Tell me Alabama's backup quarterback.
I mean, you know what, George? I couldn't tell you the backup running back, the quarterback, but I will tell you this. I know they're good as shit. I know that backup quarterback might possibly be able to start on another SEC team. They're that fucking good.
I mean, from what we were told, the backup quarterback in Florida is better, and they will officially run the table as they struggled with Kentucky.
Right. I mean, but you see that. But I think if you take Manziel away from A&M, what do you have?
I would say a really good quarterback backing him up because they're in the SEC. I mean, you're not going to have a Johnny Manziel. That's unrealistic.
I mean,
but you have a quarterback who can probably win 8 college games? Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think that Manziel is more Texas A&M needs Johnny Manziel more than Alabama needs McCarron. I think that.
Well, according to the commentators, football needs Johnny Manziel. The fucker made the cover of Time magazine. When was the last time anyone did that in college football?
Dude, he's the great.
Tim Tebow didn't even make that motherfucker.
People can't take this the wrong way, but he's the Great White Hope, dude. I mean, you see a guy that's, you see pocket quarterbacks, and you and I were saying we were going to do a video on this, and that's to come later on, but he is a kind of guy that he is a playmaker. There's shit where he gets out and he scrambles and he lets that ball go. And you know what, George, you said some of the shit is lucky. Absolutely. But the problem is defenses freak the fuck out. They're like, what is this squirrely motherfucker going to do? So they have to be accountable for shit. And he makes them say, you know what? If we fucking bite on this, if we don't do this, he's going to fucking break loose or he's going to fucking burn us with a long pass. And so he is a highlight reel. I mean, you can't take that away.
And I'm not taking anything away from the kid's talent, but when you roll and throw these hopes and prayers up into the end zone, it's not always going to pay off.
No, it's not. And somebody will get him, but the problem is, will they get him at the college level? And he's so fucking young, and all of a sudden, if you're a fucking high school recruit, okay, now all of a sudden somebody says, their coach comes in there, someone comes in there and says, hey, we got Johnny Manziel for another year and stuff like this. You could be running behind him. You could be playing with him. People are like, we're going to have national coverage. Now all of a sudden, this kid helps you recruit. And now all of a sudden,
and you know what? I might be eating some crow and tipping my hat to the young man come November 23rd, but until then, yeah. I just think he's had a really lucky season up to this point with these rolling back and just heaving the ball up into the middle. Because he did it again this past week.
Yeah.
He rolled out and just heaved the ball into the middle of the end zone, and his receiver outbodied him. Because my thing is, how would that translate to the next level?
It's not. I really don't think at this point in time his game can't translate to the next level. Now, that kind of game is not going to, we know that's not going to work in the NFL because you're not as fast as Vic. You're not fucking 6'3" or 6'4". You're not, you know what I'm saying? You see someone who was big as shit that could do that, like Cam Newton, and he's struggling. You know what I'm saying? You see when all of a sudden RG3, they take away the read option, you see he's struggling. So it's not going to necessarily translate to the next level, but right now in college where you get judged.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah. And that's,
he's a great college football player, just like Tommy Frazier, just like those system quarterbacks that came out of Nebraska, just like those kids that came out of USC. But Eric Crouch, they were great. They ran the option better than probably anyone I've ever seen run it. I mean, and I'm young, so I'm not like you. I didn't watch TV in black and white, so I don't know what they look like with the leather helmets and the rock football. I'm not joning. I'm pointing out the obvious, but I'm
trying to say I had a Jesus Christ starter jacket and shit.
Are there any other teams you want to talk on in the top 25 before we get to what could possibly be the biggest news in the NC2As this season so far?
Roll through quick. I think one of the shockers was West Virginia being not ranked and skunked out by Maryland, ended up beating Oklahoma State 30-21. South Carolina had a scare against Central Florida. I think that freaked people out. Notre Dame lost, which you and I both thought would happen. They're out of the top 25 like they should be out of the top 25. Miami, who a lot of people are talking about, sitting at 15 in the country, just destroyed South Florida. And then, like you said, Washington's undefeated. They beat Arizona. Florida squeaked one past by Kentucky. And, Fresno.
So it's Louisville. Louisville's still undefeated, and they're coming to Philadelphia this weekend to play at Temple.
And this is the thing I want to talk to people about. A couple people are like, how's Maryland ranked? I'm going to tell you why Maryland is ranked, because what they did against West Virginia and the fact that Fresno State is ranked, okay? Fresno State is ranked. And it's ranked higher than Maryland right now, and they almost lost to Hawaii, who has not won a game. They beat Hawaii 42-37. Hawaii has not won a fucking game this season. We know who Fresno State plays against. It's the same thing as Boise State. You know what I mean?
But couldn't you compare Hawaii to Connecticut then?
You can compare. Yeah, you could do that. You could say that. You could definitely say that.
I'm just playing devil's advocate because I'm not there right next to you, so I got to kind of be a dick from a distance.
Well, you could.
So I mean, I think both of those schools have had teams that they probably should have handled, but kind of mightily struggled with. But put it this way: Maryland's going to have a bigger test this week than Fresno will all entire season.
And the other thing that you have to remember is who Maryland's beat. They beat WV.
Right. And Fresno State has beat no one.
And the team that they had a problem was their coach's former team, who they had one of those guys coaching it, UConn. I mean, they played him in UConn, and it's Randy Etzel's former team. So all his staff is there. So that's, I mean, I can't make excuses for it, but I don't know. Fresno State, I immediately think Boise State. Now,
well, you want to know a school that was tired of hearing excuses?
Maybe
USC.
Yeah, Pat Hayden was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, and I think that was the right call. I kind of agree with a lot of the prognosticators and say I would have gotten rid of Kiffin last year.
Mm-hmm.
When you go into the season as the number one school in the nation and you finish 7-6.
Yeah, I just
you can't. I'd buy. See ya,
George.
Deuces.
It is, like you always famously say, kick fucking rocks. I thought he should have been kicking rocks last year with everybody else. I never understood this. And George, you pointed out that he was the offensive coordinator a while back at USC. I never understood why he got a job in the NFL. Because when he did that, he had his tenure in the NFL. It sucked. And then USC brought him back. They sucked. He wasn't bringing anybody in. There was nothing that Lane Kiffin ever did. There's a lot that his father did, but there was nothing that Lane Kiffin ever did.
Dude, even his dad bailed on him after last season.
Yeah.
His dad chucked the deuces and said, nah, good luck, son. Patted him on the hiney and said he could see the writing on the wall.
Right.
He could see the recruits in the upcoming schedule. And if you can't win 10 games with Barkley as your quarterback and that loaded team they had last year.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, look what he's done this year.
Yeah.
He shit the bed routinely. Gave up 62 points. Are you serious? 62 points to Arizona State.
62 they dropped on those Bama shorts.
I'd fire him and his whole fucking staff.
That's a basketball game. That's a fucking basketball score.
I might just cancel the program for the rest of the year, but they make too much money, even being as shitty as they are this year. And it sucks because they used to be the bride of the ball, and now it's just no.
Yeah, no. I mean, and the thing that sucks and is scary for USC is Oregon is getting all the fucking ink the last couple of years, and Stanford's getting a lot. Do
me this one. When was the last time USC had a recruiting class out of the top 40?
Oh, I can't even remember, dude. I mean,
the class they have coming in puts them out of the top 40.
Yeah.
This guy can't even fucking recruit. How hard is dude, all you need to do is show up and be like, I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm the head coach of USC. Do you want to come or not? No, you don't. And then just go next door, knock on the next kid's door and be like, okay, cool.
Now let me ask you
that's how hard it should be recruit at USC.
Now let me ask you something. Did they have some issues like they had some violations, didn't they?
Yeah, Reggie Tush.
Yeah.
Reggie Tush sold him up a river. He said, fuck it, take my Heisman, bitches, I'm getting paid millions.
Right, he's like, fuck it. I don't know what's next for Lane Kiffin. I'm just sick of people writing their daddy's name. And some people might think I'm stretching that, but I saw that. I told you, obviously, with the Chavez fight this weekend where he fucking got his ass kicked in boxing. I know it's a completely different sport, everybody, but if you read about it, or if you haven't read about it, go read about it, because it's an example of somebody writing their family fucking name and getting their asses kicked and not being able to deliver the job in their sport, and they get credibility for it. Like they gave that fight to fucking Chavez, just like they were giving these jobs to Kiffin, and he hadn't proved himself, in my opinion, where there's a lot of other more worthy candidates getting overlooked.
Now, before we move on to the NFL,
okay,
for all 5 of you monkeys who are watching this college video and you just watch it on repeat, go ahead and tell us who you would want to see coach USC next.
Yes. Tell us who you guys would want to see coach USC.